Hey guys, this is Illusion PODFIC, and today we're going to be reading Damian, Why Are You Hanging Out with the Red Hood by Nazgul Writes. This is Chapter 5. Barbara. Yes. Can I have access to that translator again? Why? I have a hunch. Damian said some things in Arabic before, and I want to see if I'm right. Sure, but I'm curious now. What do you want to check? Dick hesitates. If he's wrong, he's not sure he can take it. If he's right, he knows he can't take it. And even if he is right, it's nothing definitive. It could mean anything, really. But Red Hood had sounded so disgusted at the mere prospect and... Clues about Red Hood's identity. I'm not sure, though, and it might not mean anything, but I can't find my old Arabic textbook. Barbara snorted and click-clacked on her keyboard. This is why you need to remember where you put things, you disorganized nerd. Dick rolled his eyes. You're even nerdier than me, and it's not my fault I forget things. How is an acrobat so bad at being aware of his physical surroundings? It's not like I've needed the book. It's been years, and I have basic passive understanding of normal conversations. We don't do normal, Dick, she scolded. Clean your room or something. You might discover the floor as well as the book. He resisted the urge to say something petty in reply, and was saved from the struggle by a notification on his phone. Upon clicking it, the same green pop-up from before opened, with the prompt for audio or text input. You're the best, Barbara. Barbara sighed. Good luck, Wonder Boy. Let me know if you need anything else. The tone of hers made it clear she didn't mean anything bat-related, and he felt a soft smile bloom across his face. I will. Thanks. After he hung up, Dick had taken the translator to the Bat computer and pulled up the recording, and, oh good, there was new audio recorded. Tim had made a new kind of bug that stopped recording after 5 minutes of silence, and reactivated when audio started. It made filtering through the files easier, so the fact that there was a new file meant that something had happened. It didn't help that the new file in question was logged as having started around 3 in the morning. Deciding to handle his original curiosities and then listen to the new file, he pulled up a tab with last night's clips, and one with the one from 3 days ago. He'd watched the footage of the cave interaction from when Red Hood had first come in with Damian, but nothing particularly interesting had been said, so Dick wound the recording forward until it covered the first time Red Hood spoke Arabic. Goodbye, little brother, the translator said. When he rested his hand on Damian's shoulder, Dick tensed. He knew nothing had happened, but fuck. Red Hood rivaled Bruce in terms of sheer size. Good luck, he'd added. Good luck with what? Surviving Dick? The interrogation? Escape? When Damian had tried to usher Red Hood out of the cave, and when Dick tried to stop them, Damian said, Hal turid, Minia, en ashtari yalak, alquat ya aki. The translator said, Do you need me to buy you time, brother? Clearly, Damian trusted Red Hood. He trusted him enough to try and aid him in an escape attempt. That was all the Arabic from that night, so he closed the tab and sped forward on the other audio file until Red Hood and Damian had gotten to the crowd of what was probably homeless people with a bunch of food. Dick tried not to feel uncomfortable with the fact that Red Hood went in himself and did more for the people directly face-to-face than Dick or Bruce had. He resolved, then, that he was going to try to remedy that. A few clicks forward, and Dick heard Red Hood's modulator offer the crowd the explanation. We share a parent. Arthur-9. Damian's voice muttered in the static. 2, the translator said. Shit. He had been right. 2 what? 2 parents? What did that mean? Was Red Hood Bruce's biological son too? It would have been early in Batman's career, maybe even before it, and Bruce didn't talk much about his romantic escapades with Talia, but it wasn't completely out of the question. But even if he wasn't Bruce's, and even if Red Hood was a crime lord and a murderer, and even if you took the long way around, Dick and Damian were brothers, as Bruce's sons, and Red Hood was still Damian's brother as Talia's son, which, by extended extension, made them technically brothers. Dick had grown up in the circus. He had lost that a long time ago, and he'd mostly moved past it. But sometimes his circle felt too small. Sometimes the manor felt too empty, his bed too cold, his apartment too quiet. After the initial catastrophe with Tim, he'd grown to see the kid as much his family as Bruce and Alfred. He'd been secretly delighted when Barbara had made it clear she wasn't going to quit vigilantism, because it meant he'd get to keep another family member. Damian's arrival had made things complicated, but he jumped at every chance to dote on and bond with the kid. Clearly it hadn't been taken that way, but God, he felt something loosen in his chest every time the family gained another addition. It soothed the ache from the loss of his family and even if the Red Hood was the red-hooded ninja, and even if he was Talia al Ghul's kid, even if he was a drug lord and a trigger-happy, heads-in-a-bag psycho, and even if it was a stupid way to feel, he felt a spark of that same longing. Tim had dropped a stack of files next to Dick's plate at breakfast today, and surprisingly, the Red Hood seemingly had more morals than they had previously thought. Passing mentions of an avid hatred of child abuse was worth noting, but after the brutal takeover of Crime Alley, the violent drop in recorded overdoses and reports of sexual assault said something big. Kids were seen outdoors on the regular. Adults would go on casual walks. Most of the old buildings were slowly being brought back up to code. It was bordering on vigilante behavior. Dick wanted to talk to him. He clearly had a set of morals around the safety of children. He had a set of morals around the safety of the innocent. If they could get him to tone down the crazy homicidal behavior, he could possibly be brought into their ranks. Maybe even accepted by Bruce. Because Red Hood was younger than Dick. Christ. He felt like he had decades of training under his belt. He was paranoid and clever and ready for everything Batman tried to do. He was violent, but not that kind of violent that implied an unawareness or a pleasure in what he was doing. He was smart. Whoever Red Hood was, he was a fully functional, lucid, and coherent menace. Trying to win him over would be hard, and Dick knew that Bruce would dismiss the idea immediately, but Dick didn't care. Nightwing was his own vigilante, and his own person, and Red Hood was younger than Dick. That said something about his history, something complicated and warped, so there was clearly more to the guy than Bruce thought. Alright, final audio file. Alright guys, and that is the end of chapter 5 of Damian, Why Are You Hanging Out with the Red Hood by Nazgul Writes. I hope you guys liked it and see you next chapter.